We've had a lot of rain this weekend, and I've kept the lichen that I gather from the yard in my pots of soil that I'm holding for putting flowers in later. But they're just on the back porch, and I just keep them there to keep them moist, to keep the lichen alive until I want it, instead of bringing it inside and drying it. If I leave it on whatever thing it was growing on, like here's a nice little branch, then it stays alive. But of course I don't want the branch in my dye, so I'm pulling it off. Some of it is just so interesting to look at. Isn't that fun? Anyway, some of it's already off of the branches, and it's blown off the branches from the trees. Little spiders sometimes. From dyeing with some bark, even though you would think that bits of bark like this would really impact your dye, they kind of don't. Look how fluffy that is. The bark dyes I did they turned out pretty insipid, whereas the lichen dyes did not. So I'm not too worried about getting a little bit of residual bark in there. Let me find. Okay, here's a little piece. Here's a little piece of the lichen. There we go. Okay, so here's the green side, but the reverse side is white. So anytime that I'm looking at the back of this lichen and it's black, a lot of that really is the bark. So I'm trying to pull that off as much as possible, but I'm not going to get it back to where it's solid white. You know you're a bit of a natural dye addict when you start hunting your studio for undyed stuff, anything to put in a dye pot, and that's what I'm doing this morning. I've got my lichen warming on the stove, and I looked at my video from before and realized this is something I could do this morning. So let me show you what I've got to put in there. I have one bag of very badly spun Shetland. It's got all kinds of fuzzies in it. I've got another one that just says chain plied wool, which means it's a triple ply and not a double. I've got another one that says Cromsky wool, double ply, spun on Barnum wheel, super twisty. That's really old if I spun it there. And then I have something even older, which is some spun white alpaca. And then I also have some clean unspun alpaca. And so I'm just going to put all this into a warm bath ahead of time, no mordant, and no prep like that except for just being wet. And then I'm going to put it into my my lichen dye and add a little bit of vinegar to it to make it acidic. And then we'll leave it for about an hour or so and take it out, see what we've got. All right, it's time to put all this stuff into this dye bath, which I accidentally let get a little hotter than I'd wanted. It was on low, but it still was bubbling when I came in. I really just wanted a steamy simmer. So let's look at what we're doing. I took off all the labels when I put it in this big pot, so I don't know what anything is probably. And the question is, will we be able to put all this into here? Who knows? This is just spun wool, I think. This is the super twisty that I was talking about. If I can't fit it all in there, I'll just wait and put some in as a second. I should be able to get one more thing in there. Let me see. Those are the same. That's alpaca spun up. This is the stuff that was so badly spun. And then this is raw alpaca in this little bag. There was one more. Let's do this one. This is one that my friend Lynn gave me ages ago. But she spun up. Okay, let's do those in there. We'll turn it back on a different low that won't let it. All right. Okay, and we'll leave these in here, and I'll put them in the exhaust bath from this. Okay, I did strain out all the lichen this time, so I wouldn't have to deal with any VM. Instead of just pulling it out with like a slotted spoon, I actually poured it out into a strainer, and I think that helps.
Hello. Well, all those beautiful Japanese magnolia blossoms will probably be on the ground by the time I get back home because I'm in West Virginia with my mother and other family members, and I've been gone for several days, and I will still be gone for several days more. But one thing I've acquired while I've been here, as you might expect, is actually, I think it's 2 new sheep fleeces from my brother's shearing this past, no, this was last spring. So these are ones he's had a little bit. So I didn't bring my mic. I don't have a microphone that works at a distance. So I'm just going to get them out of the car and spread them out on my mother's porch swing and show them to you. And if I talk a little bit, maybe you can hear me. All right? Thanks.
Well, I think I'll take you closer so you can see. Now, his sheep do not have a long staple length. This is a good example of the locks, and they're probably a little over 2 inches. But they are beautiful, very soft. This will require a lot of picking over and a lot of cleaning. You can see this is just pretty gray with dirt, although underneath it's very pretty. The lanolin is a pale orangey yellow, but there's, a lot of little teeny pieces, so I'm going to have to pick through it. This is so pretty. Yeah, those are long enough. So there's that one, and you could see it wasn't real tight in one piece. It was kind of long and spread out. And then there's another one in there very similar to it. I think it's just about the same. He says all these sheep are sisters. All these sheep are sisters. See, looks very similar to the other. So I'm super excited about having another fleece. This will give me plenty to work with for the next year. My brother's wood pile this year is just truly amazing to look at. This is how they heat their home. Isn't that beautiful?